So I am Courtney Cox, and I work at New England Sports Network. I've been there for a little over a year now. I can't believe that it's already flown by that much. But I'm from Massachusetts. I went to Boston College. I worked for the Atlantic Coast Conference right out of school down in North Carolina. After about a year and a half down there, I said, get me back to Boston. I need to be back up north. My parents would love to hear me say that right now. But I came back up here, and then I've been with NESN ever since, so it's been kind of a crazy ride, but I work in sports, so, I mean, can you get any better than that? No.
So we have a couple of questions for you, learn a little bit more about you. First, could you tell us what your best experience is at Fenway, or your first experience at Fenway? Was it with your mom or your dad?
So it was with my dad. I think I'm an only child, so I'm sure my dad was like, oh, I hope that I get a boy at some point so I can have sports. But then he got me and still got sports, right? Because girls also like sports, and I think that's what we're all here to make sure that that is, known across the country, across the world. So I did go with my dad. I remember it must have been a birthday present or something, because we were there early. And we were down in the dugout as the players were coming out. And it was the coolest thing ever. Pedro Martinez stopped. I have a picture. It's framed in my house of my father, Pedro Martinez, and I in the dugout. And we got autographs. And it was just such a cool experience. And I think at that point my dad said, you know what? Courtney's going to like sports. So I have to thank him for getting me kind of into it all. My mom, don't tell my mom there.
That's a great story. Okay, so could you tell us who your current favorite Red Sox player is and your all-time favorite Red Sox player?
So that's hard. We just did an interview with Rick Porcello. We did a 4-day stint of interviews with him, and he's such a nice guy. And I think that that's important to note. You know, you could be the best person on the field, but you could be not the best person off of the field. And I think that that's such a hard balance, especially if you have children and you have kids that love sports and they want somebody to look up to. You want to make sure that they're looking up to the right people. So Rick Porcello, I think, is such a great role model. You know, he's very soft-spoken, he's not in the limelight, and he was such a nice guy. And you know, you're sitting with him, it's a game day, he's coming up to the NESN box to talk to you for, I think it was 30 minutes. And he's taking the time out of his day to talk to you, and he'll talk about anything. We weren't even talking about sports. We were talking about, you know, what was your AIM screen name? Who had an AIM screen name in the room? What was your, so we were asking crazy, funny things, and he was so good at playing along. I also think Andrew Benintendi is a great guy. He's so young, and I think that that's important, is that, you know, there's so many older men on in the MLB that people can look up to, but to have a young guy who's, you know, not out partying all the time, you don't ever hear any bad stories about him, and he's such a great player too. You know, how can you be that talented on the field and also live a normal life, semi-normal life off the field? So right now, those would be my two favorites. Overall, you know, you can't not say David Ortiz.
I was just going to say that smile.
Yeah, I interviewed him about a month ago, and I don't usually get starstruck, and that was a guy that I walked into the interview and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. He had the coolest Louboutins on too. They were spiky and they were the coolest shoes ever. But such a great guy, such a nice guy, and really humble. And if you go to Soul Cycle classes, you can catch him at Soul Cycle. I take a class with him every Tuesday.
All right.
So tell us about when the Red Sox finally won in 2004. What did that mean to you? You were relatively young at the time.
I was.
But how special was that for you?
Yeah, so I'm trying to do the math in my head. I'm 25 now, so I was pretty young. I remember watching it with my dad, of course, and my mom was there as well, but my dad was crying. And I think that if you talk, right, if you talk to most people who were younger in that period of time, their parents were so emotional about it. So it was such a cool experience to be able to watch it at home. I wasn't at the game, so I don't have a crazy story there, but it was very cool to watch my dad be so emotional about it, and to be so moved about a team that, you know, he's rooted for his whole life, and to see them, you know, do kind of reverse the curse, if you will. So, 04, that was a big one for him, and it was cool as a daughter to watch.
Awesome.
So there's been a lot of discussion around pink hats, and so I have to ask you this question. Have you ever worn a pink hat? Do you wear a pink hat? I know there's been some negative, discussions around that. Why don't you give us your take on that?
I could go on and on about this. I like the color pink. I don't care what it stands for. I'm going to wear it. So my favorite hat right now is a pink hat from 47. It's the small logo, light pink hat, and it's so cool. Nobody really has it, so I wear it all the time. And I was actually at a Patriots game, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw on my light pink hat. It was raining out. I didn't want to wear a Patriots one for whatever reason. And the guy behind me was talking about something with his girlfriend, and they were arguing. Shocker. And the girlfriend was trying to make a point. Jacoby Brissett was playing for the Patriots at the time. Obviously, Brady was suspended. Garoppolo was injured. So he was basically trashing Brissett. And like I said, I worked for the ACC, so NC State, Jacoby Brissett went there. So I'm a Brissett fan. And you know what? I was getting so frustrated listening to him. So I turned around and I said, "Are you going to root for the Patriots when they're in the Super Bowl? Are you gonna be all about the Patriots? Are you gonna be so excited when they win?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course." And I said, "Then be with them when our starting quarterback is suspended and our second string quarterback is hurt. This guy is straight out of college. Give him a break." I was getting so mad because you see fair weather fans all the time, and you see the terrible things that people write on the internet about them, and I was in one of those moods. And my dad's friend was sitting next to me, and he told my dad after, he's like, "Yeah, so then the guy starts coming at her, calling her a pink hat. I don't know what that meant. She was wearing one, so I think he was talking about that." And I lost it. I was like, "You have no idea what you're talking about. That's so degrading. I like the color pink, so I'm going to wear this hat." And I kind of tore this guy apart. And my dad's friend said, needless to say, I didn't need to jump in. Courtney handled herself fine, and the guy kind of zipped it after that. So the whole pink hat thing, you get it on Twitter all the time. You're a pink hat, you're this, you're that. You gotta forget about it. Keep wearing the pink because it's a great color,
Good answer. All right, so inquiring minds want to know, have you toured the Veggie Garden upstairs at the ballpark? And what do you think about it?
I have. The NESN box, it's right outside of the NESN box.
Okay.
And Linda Henry, does so much work with it. And it's a great place. They do so many tours up there. And the cool thing is that they have bees up there. They have like a bee habitat.
I didn't know that.
Yes, so they have honey. And they do so many great things up there, and they make sure that, they're changing the way that ballpark food is. You can go and you can get your hot dog, you can get your hamburger, you can get your Fenway Frank. You can do all the bad food. I mean, when I'm going to a sports game, I want to indulge. I want to eat, the bad stuff. But not everybody's like that. And sometimes, you do want to get a fix where you can get a salad, you can get something fresh. And what Fenway's doing and the fresh produce that they're having, that they're making or growing right at their ballpark, is unlike anything else that you're going to see across the country. And I actually talked to her like 3 weeks ago about it, and I said, "Is this happening a lot across the country?" And she said, "Yeah, it's kind of moving in that direction. But for me, I'm at the ballpark so much, Linda Henry, she's there a good amount of time." She said, "I wanted to make sure that I could be eating something that I don't feel terrible about." So I think it's great, and if you guys get a chance, there's tours that go around all the time.
During the game?
That I don't know if during the game, but definitely, during the week, during the weekends. If you go, I'm sure on RedSox.com, they'll have it all there. But the tour is so cool, and the garden is a beautiful space, and they have a restaurant right next to it too. So all the produce in Fenway comes from that garden.
Didn't know that.
That's amazing. Okay, so could you tell us who is your favorite person to talk baseball with?
So that would be my dad, definitely.
Okay.
He'll always call me. I've been actually talking to some people around here about my dad. My dad's very funny, very emotional. So he will always, call me after everything. After Rick Porcello interview, he calls me. He's like, "So what's he like?" That's the first question anybody says. "So what's he like?" Patriots practice. Was Tom Brady there? Yeah, the quarterback was there at Patriots practice, Dad. So he loves to talk sports. He loves to talk Red Sox. Like I said, he's been a fan his whole life. So he likes to talk about, not just the X's and O's, but also,
The behind
the scenes. He thinks that's the coolest thing in the world. what we do. So he's definitely one. My grandfather is also another guy who will call me, but he's more X's and O's. He's like,
Stats.
yes, he wants to talk about stats, and I'm like, Gramps, that's not all that's going on here, you know what I mean? So yeah, my grandfather and my dad are definitely the two people that I like to talk sports with, and definitely Red Sox.
Great. Okay, just 2 more questions. What is your best memory at Fenway Park so far, personally or professionally?
So Zach Brown band concert there was pretty good, but the World Series back in 2013. I was not in the ballpark, but I was right across the street. I was a senior at Boston College, and I've never seen Boston more electric than that win. We walked out of, I think, what's the bowling at Lucky Strike? Is that right across? So we walked out of Lucky Strike, and I've never felt more passion. People were going nuts, and I think that moment was the moment that I said, you know what, I want to work in sports for the rest of my life, because these people are crazy. So it was such an exciting time, and Boston is such a city of unity, and you could definitely feel that. And it was that year going into it. I had interned at NESN, actually. It was after my junior year. I interned there, and that summer was so crazy because the bombings were the end of my junior year. So that World Series, really, I just felt like, not that we deserved it as a city, but kind of. We needed something that got us all excited again. And so you could just definitely feel the emotion, the passion at that point at Fenway.
I would agree with you on that. Okay, last question. Could you tell us what some of your favorite Red Sox pieces are in the store? I know that you had a little personal shopping style experience, and they are offering that tonight if anyone's interested. I know that you were checking out a number of shirts and hats over there. Tell us what you like.
So obviously I like this shirt because it's something that I think you can wear all the time, all seasons, throw a coat on over or a sweater. But they have some great long sleeves over there, and I have to say, I like running in a long sleeve in the fall in Boston because it does get cold. But the long sleeves here actually you don't feel hot when you're in it. They're great shirts to run in. And so the one far to the right, it's a little baggier. I like that style. And then there's a tie-dye one, the blue and white tie-dye, which is
right there.
so cool. And definitely, I feel like when you go to Fenway sometimes, you see the same shirts, the same hats over and over again. That's one that I don't think you're going to see a lot of.
Can you bring that up here?
Yeah,
bring
so
that
these
shirt
two
up. Yeah.
I think are great. And like I said, my pink small logo Red Sox one I love. And so the small logo hats, I don't know if you guys have the small logo hats.
We have just like
Any color. Yeah, but those ones are really cool. They're different. So yeah, these I love. And we were talking about the same color but two-tone, like the
Right.
black one and the cream one are really cool. Yeah. See, so that's what it looks like, but then they have the ones in the Red Sox. So those are my favorite pieces right now, but anytime you come in here, the pieces are great. And the hats are so comfortable. They don't hurt your head at all, which I
Right,
like.
I love this hat right here. Yeah, I'm not taking it off ever.
Thank you so much, Courtney.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So, just want to share a few thoughts about the Boston Female Fan Association. We're really excited to partner with 47. For those of you who are not familiar with the Boston Female Fan Association, we are a new community for female fans here in the city. There are over 2 million women that love Boston sports, and believe it or not, we are the #2 city across the country in terms of championships behind New York City. So, this is a very passionate community of sports fans. It's what we're all about. And so what we're providing is access to VIP events, community and empowerment tools. And you've got to sign up on our site. It's free, and we're going to have a lot of cool events, and very excited to take this forward and really appreciate you all here tonight.